Today on the Transplant Helper, I'm going to be offering to you 4 keys that I promise you need to be a part of your life if you plan to have a successful transplant journey. So stay tuned. Hey folks, welcome to the Transplant Helper. Today, my name is Jim Burrell. Let me go and ask you if you're not already a subscriber to this channel, because maybe you're new to this channel, how about go ahead and hit that big subscribe button right beneath this video, as well as the bell notification off beside that. That way you can be notified each and every time I put out content, which I hope and promise you will be that which advocates, educates, and motivates you as a transplant patient. By the way, typically those videos are going to come out on Tuesdays and Thursdays around 4 p.m. Central Time. So be sure to look for that. But nonetheless, today's topic is all about giving you the keys, 4 of them as a matter of fact, that I think are essential to living a successful transplant life. And after all, is that not all what we want? Is to have our transplants, to get through that part of the journey, and then to live out our lives as healthy and happily as we possibly can. And I promise you, these 4 things, if you'll implement them either pre and or post transplant, they will help you tremendously. So let's jump right in. They're very simple. Number 1, in order to have a successful transplant, you have to be a person who is filled with motivation. That's right, motivation. It takes a lot of drive, a lot of stamina, a lot of motivation in order to survive the transplant process. I can remember back years ago, of course, I'm a heart patient, so I'm sitting in my cardiologist's office, and he said, "Jim, I just want you to know that heart transplant is not for the faint at heart." And of course, he kind of smiled. He made out like he had made a joke, because obviously you're faint of heart if you need a heart transplant. But what he meant by that, and I knew it, he meant that it was going to be emotionally a difficult process, albeit understand you, I didn't understand then, back 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, exactly how difficult it could be. Now, heart transplant is a wonderful, beautiful thing. It is certainly a blessing, and any transplant for that matter. But at the very same time, it can be a difficult and bumpy road. There will be highs, there will be lows, there will be good days and bad days, and you got to be motivated in order to push through that. So anything you can do right now to prepare yourself mentally, to get motivated, to be ready to drive and to push through the process is definitely going to help you out. If you've already been through the brunt of this journey, as in you have your transplant, then thanks be to God for that. But it's still going to take motivation for you to continue on and to keep on going as far as you can. As one of my good friends used to say, KOKO, or keep on keeping on. That's what you need. So motivation is number 1. Second to that, albeit I don't know that it's much lesser to that, it's going to require education. So second, it requires education. And this comes about in so many areas, but mainly it comes about being educated in your condition, whatever it is, and what your conditions potentially could be. And I mean by that post-transplant, because you're still going to be dealing with some issues. Yes, that organ, that replacement part, if you will, that may be solved for a time, and it's great, it's wonderful, but at the same time, understand that you're still going to face certain things. And you've got to be educated and know what you need to know. And I encourage you to do that constantly, whether you're actually reading materials that you pick up in the local doctor's office, whether you're looking on the internet, doing Google searches, obviously watching videos like mine and others, those who try to educate patients about what's going on or potentially could go on in their lives. Those are all great resources. And I encourage you to go ahead and reach out and gain that, because education is really going to matter as far as your long-term survival and long-term success. So motivation, education, and number 3 here is going to take preparation. Now, preparation. Now, this comes in, you might say, well, that comes in pre-transplant when you're preparing yourself, preparing your mind, your body, your emotions, your spiritual life, whatever, getting things in order so that you can push through. Yes, that's absolutely true. But at the same time, there's always something new to prepare for. Every day is a different day. They may be great days. They may be blessed days. Certainly they are. But everything is a day to prepare for. And you have to prepare. You have to get ready. You know, you've got to be ready to fight. If you're going to go out and do anything or be a success in anything in life, preparation and how much time you put into that is really going to be a key. And I encourage everyone. I talked to a man yesterday who is a a former Alabama football player, played for Bear Bryant back in the 80 to 83 range. Mr. Smiley, a great man, highly motivated, extremely educated, and he even is preparing himself for transplant. He's awaiting transplant. He's hoping and praying that's going to come sooner rather than later, but he's prepared, and he's got to be prepared. And you've really got to keep your body in the best physical shape that you can. That's just one example. I can remember laying in the hospital pre-transplant and constantly, maybe not when the nurses were in the room, but constantly just knowing, I've got to keep my legs under me. And I've had whole videos about that. I've got to push ahead. I've got to keep my legs strong, my arms strong, whatever I can. Even though my heart was failing, I have to take care of everything else to be prepared to face transplant. I always encourage people to try to keep every organ they can healthy, especially things like their kidneys. If they're a heart or lung patient, their kidneys can go fast, and so you got to really put a lot of effort into making sure you keep those other organs safe as possible, so that you don't end up in a situation needing a multiple organ transplant, which can get more difficult. It can be done. It's very doable. It can be more difficult. So preparation is the key. And then finally here, it's the one that seems most logical probably of all of them, and that is it's going to take determination. You say, well, determination and motivation, aren't they pretty similar? Yeah, I would say they're first cousins to one another. But at the same time, being motivated to do something and saying, I've got the will, I've got the desire, is different from being determined to do something. And that means you're going to be knocked down. You're going to be knocked flat on your back or straight on your face over and over again in the whole transplant process, whether it be the wait and the survival that it takes prior to transplant, or whether it be post-transplant when you're trying to live and you go into clinic, you're hoping everything's fine, and they say, well, Mr. Merle, Mr. So-and-so, you're dealing with some rejection, or you have this infection, or you've got this other disease that has arisen, maybe that you even got from your previous donor. You see, sometimes the used parts that we have in our bodies, there are a lot of times things that are undiscovered or undisclosed that transfer to us, and here we've got to deal with that. So it's going to take determination. And again, I encourage you, KO, keep on keeping on, stay stronger. That's what this life is about. That's why we have to push. It takes a lot of drive, a lot of effort, a lot of determination in order to make it through the transplant life. And yes, it's not for the faint at heart. Yes, it's not for the weak-willed. It's for those who want to stand and stand strong, and that are willing really not to stand alone, but to stand together. Allow other people to come with you and to help you to help you to be determined, and to be that drive, and to be that reminder every day of how important this is. It's amazing to me, not really amazing, but it's always fun to see that the transplant process itself affects so many people in a positive way outside of just the transplant recipient themselves. Yes, I'm blessed to have a new heart that's nearly 5 years old in my body, one that was used prior to that. I'm blessed to have that. But the real blessing comes in the way and the reactions that my wife, my children, my parents, my siblings, my friends, and the times that we get to spend together. That makes it all worth everything, and it just means I want to be more determined to stand strong. I hope these things have helped you out in some way. Again, to review them: motivation, education, preparation, and determination. Those are all the keys, more or less, that what we have to do to be successful in transplant. Again, if this has helped you out in some way, I would love it if you give me a big thumbs up on this video. That just kind of encourages me. It'll make me smile. Yeah, I really can't smile physically, but I promise you I'm smiling here. It'll make me smile. And again, if you'll plan on or consider hitting that subscribe button right beneath the video, that will be great too. And I promise you I'll try to bring you content every week, which will help you in some way. But until we see each other next time, please stay stronger, friends.